special feature this week is discrimination in football. Discrimination in football is where we are going to go, and where we're going to go. Heather Rabbatts faces FA investigation into public backing for Eva Carniero. This is from Friday 23rd of October 2015. The Football Association's independent board member Heather Rabbatts is facing a formal investigation from the governing body's council over a public backing for the former Chelsea doctor Eva Carniero. Heather Rabbatts has been heavily critical of the FA's handling of the case of Carniero, describing it as seriously disappointing, and is now facing a complaint for an alleged breach of the FA's code of conduct. It is understood two members of the 121 strong FA Council, the 82-year-old Life Vice President Ron Barston and the 70-year-old law lecturer Richard Turr, the chairman of the Oxford University FA, have called for an investigation into Rabbatts. Under FA rules, only two members of the council are required for a formal investigation to be launched. The ultimate sanction, if any wrongdoing is found, would see Rabbatts removed from the FA board, though any such move would have to be confirmed by her fellow directors. Now, on the 27th of October 2015, Football Association chiefs are to be questioned over their handling of anti-discrimination cases, including that of ex-Chelsea doctor Eva Carniero. Members of the FA's Inclusion Advisory Board, IAB, say they have deep concerns about the way Carniero's case was dealt with by the FA. Carniero left Chelsea last month after criticism from manager Jose Mourinho, September that month. And the IAB will also seek to clarify the position of FA board member and IAB chair Heather Rabbatts. They are seeking answers from FA Chief Executive Martin Glenn and Head of Governance Darren Bailey in a meeting in November. Rabbatts is set to be questioned by the FA after she criticised the disciplinary process surrounding Carniero, who was dropped from the first team duties after she and head physio John Fern rushed onto the pitch to treat Eden Hazard during a 2-2 draw of Swansea on the opening day of the season. The FA cleared Mourinho, now subject of two separate ongoing investigations, of making discriminatory comments towards Carniero, who left Chelsea on September 22nd. But the club and governing body have drawn censure for their handling of the process, with Carniero claiming she was at no stage asked to testify to the FA investigation. The FA said Carniero was invited to contribute to the process, but Rabbatts' subsequent response led to two FA councillors complaining about her behaviour, which we just mentioned. Independent members of the IAB, including former players Graham Lasso and Paul Elliott, have written a joint letter to FA Chairman Greg Dyke and all FA councillors backing Rabbatts and expressing deep concerns about a number of recent anti-discrimination cases. The letter states that while the IAB will wait to speak with Glenn and Bailey, they will give their unwavering support for Rabbatts and seek reassurances that she still has the full support of the FA board. Now, as said, Ron Barston and Richard Turr were the ones believed to have actually began the investigation into Rabbatts. The letter added that Rabbatts' mandate is to champion equality and diversity in football, and they questioned whether she has any charge to answer. Now, there's that point. The next point, former Chelsea team Dr Eva Carniero's lawyers have served notice on the club that she intends to seek a claim for constructive dismissal. This is from October 29th, 2015. It is understood that legal papers were served on the club last week, the week of the 29th of October, and these will trigger an employment tribunal process. Unless an out-of-court settlement can be agreed before a hearing takes place. Carniero's lawyer also served papers. Carniero's lawyer served the papers this week after failing to agree a settlement with Chelsea so far. The 3-month period in which a claim must be notified ends on November 8th. An employment tribunal hearing would take place in public and could potentially be embarrassing for the club, and for that reason such cases are usually settled beforehand. Chelsea have previously said they cannot comment on internal staffing matters. Now, we've already said the circumstances around Dr Carniero's sacking, but 2nd of November 2015, today, Jose Mourinho is to be the subject of individual legal action from former Chelsea team doctor and Dr Eva Carniero. It means the Chelsea boss will have to appear at an employment tribunal unless there is an out-of-court settlement. Her lawyers are already suing the club for constructive dismissal, as we just mentioned. The legal papers are expected to be served on Mourinho this coming week as part of separate but connected claims against him and against the club. The doctor's lawyer said she said neither she nor they could comment as the legal proceedings are active, while Chelsea have also not commented on the case. The individual legal claim against Mourinho of victimization and discrimination means Carniero's lawyers are alleging he was instrumental in Carniero's apparent demotion. The incident in question occurred on August 8th, the opening day of the Premier League season, as we've already mentioned. Now, Mourinho was widely criticised for his comments but cleared of using discriminatory language by the Football Association. Carniero revealed she had not been spoken to personally during the investigation or asked to provide any statement. However, the FA said she was given an opportunity. The handling of the case, as said, has also been criticised by Women in Football Network Group and FA Independent Director Heather Rabbatts. Gman Gezzie Fizzle, would you like to take the floor first before I raise my blood pressure a bit on this?
Well, I'll just say, you know what, I think it's great to see that, you know, Mr. Rabbatts has got some backing, and some serious backing at that, you know, and it would be nice to have that whole scenario clarified, because as far as I see it, you know, in terms of this situation, the line is clearly drawn in the sand here, right? And to put a fine point on it, you're either with her or against her, and if you're against her, then look, what we're really talking about again is an even bigger case of discrimination. Really. Right? So we'll have to see how that pans out. But you know what, as well, I'd also like to say congratulations to Eva Carniero's legal team. And the reason why I say that, right, isn't because I'm trying to start a party or anything like that, but it's good to see that she's actually taking the action that needs to be taken, right? Because what normally would happen in this kind of scenario is on the hush-hush, this just kind of fades away, right? But that's not the case here. And it's good because what that means is, and I use it to apply it to future cases of anything similar, is that if something like this was to happen again, that wouldn't be the case either. Yeah. They would also stand up and actually take action. So, you know, in that regard, I say it's good and congratulations to them, because a stand does need to be taken on this issue. It really is that simple. G-Man, over to you.
Yeah, no, the sentiments I like, especially with the Heather Rabbatts situation, because to be honest, if someone is calling out the people that she's you know, working with and, you know, around, and basically, you know, just trying to say, look, things ain't being done right here. There's something mega wrong with this decision you make. You don't expect her to actually like be reprimanded for it. You know, I know there's channels that you can go down, but in all effects, yeah, anyone looking at the case of Eva Carniero could see, you know, the decision that the FA made was, it just didn't look right. And like you said, Gezzie, it's good to see Carniero's taking her case further forward. I guess this is mainly through you know, probably Heather Rabbatts in her ear as well, you know, trying to say, look, you need to actually really stick up for yourself here, because, you know, it is the men's game. There is still that whole how would you put it, discriminatory factor about how women are seen in the game, in the men's game especially. And, you know, I'm with the stance that Heather Rabbatts has taken. You know, I can actually see, you know, look, just saying you need to stand up for yourself. And this is just me speculating here, but I'm assuming she would be like this. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to take it the full 9 yards. You can't let Chelsea do this to you. It's not right. If it was a male manager, it wouldn't even have gone down that line. Mourinho wouldn't have got away with that sort of situation. he probably would have got his lights knocked out in the changing room, to be honest, with the way that he actually treated and spoke to her. You know, so. But again, that's just my speculative point on the situation. But in all, you know, I just hope both you know are reprieved for you know, their involvement in this whole case, which, you know, again, the FA just needs to fix up, in my eyes. The FA needs to fix up. Needs to take a long look at itself in the mirror. We're not 100 years back. You know, simple as that. We're not 100 years back. We're in the future. You know, you can't be overly promoting the women's game and then, you know, just showing that you have a disregard for women in the men's game.
No, that's a great point. I mean, that shows a counterintuitive message, because that definitely shows a counterintuitive message. And you know what? The potential damage this could have done. Imagine, like, say you're a female physio, or you're a female doctor, or you're just looking, or you're a woman looking to get into the game in general, and you're seeing, and this is one of the biggest sources of consternation for me. And imagine you're seeing this kind of thing being played out in public, and the sheer disrespect that was shown by Mourinho when he come out and started calling John Fern and Eva Carniero naive. And we discussed that at the time it happened as well. It was a case of coming out and disrespecting your medical staff like that. And then the decision from the FA saying no, there was nothing discriminatory. It's like, what? And the way that apparently they came to the decision, where it's like, no, we're not, like, they hadn't asked Dr. Carniero to actually be a part of the process. For me, as soon as I read that she hadn't been a part of the process, I was like, how? It's like, wait, hold on a minute. How can you have a process where you've basically only got one side of the story? Dr. Carniero is the victim, and you haven't even asked what happened. You've just gone on what Mourinho said and gone with that. That's a disgrace in itself. And these two good old boys, trying to getting an investigation started on Heather Rabbatts, because Heather Rabbatts expressed serious concerns about the whole process. Them guys are idiots in themselves. See, this is the thing that majorly frustrates me. These two good old boys. Actually, no, let me name drop them. Ron Barston. There's a line there somewhere, but I can't do this because it's a family show. And Richard Turr as well. It's one of them was these two good old boys, but he complaining about Heather Rabbatts. But Heather Rabbatts is supposed to be championing equality and diversity and anti-discrimination in football. What the hell do you expect her to come out and say? You expect her to stay quiet like Gordon Taylor does? It's like Gordon Taylor with the PFA. I noticed he ain't come out and said nothing about this. But he's one of them ones who I've criticised before for picking his spots. And I ain't talking about acne with that either. Fact of the matter is, yeah, these cases being re-examined by the IAB, Inclusion Advisory Board, good, re-examine these cases, because I could bring up other cases that need to be re-examined where they are riddled with incongruities. The Suarez Evra case, for instance, where, of course, as I've said on numerous occasions, I read 70 plus pages of that 115 page report, and there were more holes than an Afghan rug in it. In terms of how they got to their decision, there were so many holes, it's untrue. But leaving that aside, the FA has history of priors of charging one person one way and another person another way in exactly the same cases. So it's one of them ones that the FA have handled this badly. They were a day late and $1 short anyway in terms of jumping in and getting involved in the first place. And you know what? Dr. Carniero suing and serving notice on Chelsea for constructive dismissal. Good on you. Stick up for yourself. Don't allow the club to mug you off, because at the end of the day, if the club thinks they can do it to a physio, then obviously they're going to try and do it again and again and again, and it's going to keep on happening. If someone mugs you off once, mugs you off twice, they're going to keep thinking that they can mug you off all the time. And Mourinho getting individual legal action Hell, in my view, obviously Dr. Carniero feels strongly enough to take it that far. So it's got to be taken seriously when someone feels strongly enough to not just sue the club, but sue the individual as well. And of course, this isn't one of those blanket ones like what has been said about Owen Hart's widow, in terms of she sued literally everybody who had anything to do with what happened, the tragedy with Owen, the WWE, the guys, this and that. She just blanket sued everyone. Dr. Carniero suing, suing the club for constructive dismissal. Fair enough, because she was hung out to dry. She and John Fern were hung out to dry in that situation when all they were doing was their job. Her and John Fern got hung out to dry badly, and then it's one of them was, hey, papers to be served on Mourinho for basically discriminatory language being used. Fine, it's one of them was fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's one of them was, if it happened, then prove it happened. And it's one of them was, because at the end of the day, it's not for. I think for Dr. Carniero, it's not just suing for lost earnings, but there's also damaged reputation as well, because this kind of thing, the way Mourinho came out and was lambasting Fern and Carniero, it's one of them ones. There's grounds to sue there on defamation of character, potentially, in my view anyway, without being a lawyer. But it is one of them ones. I mean, you could easily sue for defamation of character. It's one of them ones. I'm top of my profession for a reason, not just because of who I know. It's because I am damn good at what I do, and the fact of the matter is, it's just one of them ones. Loss of earnings, damaged reputation is extremely important, because when a reputation precedes someone, if it's negative, then certain employers won't touch you. So it's one of them. I mean, you look at Joey Barton. Aside from the fact that he's a very average footballer, no top club will touch him because his reputation precedes him. You see where I'm going with this? So it's a case of there are legitimately those grounds to sue on, in my personal opinion. And the fact is, hey, Dr. Carniero, more power to you. And the fact that a champion of equality, diversity, and anti-discrimination, Heather Rabbatts, and the IAB, Independent Advisory Board to the FA, are supporting and having deep concerns about the way this has been handled, that speaks volumes as to the way it was handled and the way the FA on a general basis is run, with this whole good old boy network kind of mentality. It's one of them ones. If an independent entity feels strongly enough to want to reopen investigations to cases, you got to think something's rotten in Denmark here. So it's one of them ones. It's just one of them ones. I mean, potentially, and I was speaking to one of my housemates about this earlier. Potentially, this could, in theory, potentially burn bridges for Dr. Carniero, in terms of her being looked upon by the good old boy networks running the game as a whistleblower. But at the end of the day, the bridges may have been burned anyway by Mourinho calling her naive and hanging her out to dry in the first place, and then Chelsea ended up sacking her. So it's one of them was, you might as well pursue legal action if you believe that your reputation has been tarnished. If someone tried to tarnish my reputation, you think I ain't gonna fight tooth and nail to restore it? You think I ain't gonna fight tooth and nail for that? You must be crazy. So it's one of them ones. More power to Carniero. More power to her, because the ramifications of this are not just limited to Chelsea Football Club. It's the negative. It's not the negative vibes and the negative aura and the negative representation that it sends out in general to women who want to get into football. That's where this is bigger than football, especially the part with Heather Rabbatts. because of what kind of aura it gives out. So, hell, it's one of them ones. Just to put a finer point on that. I mean, Gezzie Fizzle, G-Man, I don't know if you want to jump in any more before we move on, but...
No, I think you've added the underline and the underscore and signed it too. I really couldn't have put it better myself.
I said, I think publicly it's been a disgrace the way this whole thing's been handled. And Heather Rabbatts has no charge to answer, in my view. At the end of the day, hey, look at the opinions we've had on the situation. So, it's one of them.